Good people. I must love y'all. It is 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm up trying to crank out a podcast. Okay, we're going to do the work. This is Lessons Learned, Wednesday, July 13th. That's about all I can get together right now as far as words. Let's do the work. Let's go. Hey, I am back. It is episode 14, Lessons Learned. Let's get right into it. So, lessons learned, obviously, we are going to talk about things that we need to learn, things that we might be on the run from, and we don't need to be on the run from. I know that looking back, when I think about just the earliest time that I just kind of had something happen in my life at my youngest age that I can remember, I know that there were lessons that I had learned that I already had kind of in the toolbox to be able to deal with certain things. We kind of have certain things that are just innate, that are just with us, that we already know. It's almost like common sense, although common sense is not really that common when you consider that common sense is kind of based on what you've experienced and what you already know. And all of our experiences are different. But I know for some, there are some things that are necessary to learn and some things that are kind of, again, common sense. So I know for me, there were certain things that went on in my life and certain things that I experienced that really and truly didn't align with others, because there were certain things that I do that I noticed other people weren't doing. There were certain things that I experienced in relationships that other people didn't. And I think a large part of it was just because I kind of looked at things differently. I experienced things differently and I responded differently. It's kind of aggressive and just kind of what comes up comes out. That's the way that I would kind of behave. No, kind of. That is the way I would behave. Just what comes up comes out. That was just me. And for a time, it was okay. It was acceptable for a time. But then as I got older, those patterns kind of needed to change, but really didn't. So with that, I'm just saying that there were certain patterns in my life as far as relationships and friendships and things like that that just wouldn't mesh. It just wouldn't come together right. And that was happening because of the lessons learned or the lessons that I did not learn. That's where the pattern was coming in from. Because nothing changes until you learn the lesson. And that's why I was seeing those particular patterns. I wasn't learning things. I just kept going with what I wanted to go with. I just kept doing that. And when I think about anger issues, when I think about different control issues, and I think about having blinders on, I think about being thick-headed, because I'm describing some of my behaviors. Like, I'm totally describing those behaviors back then. Those behaviors kept me from growing and kept me from learning. I didn't know that because, I just kept on going about life as if I didn't have to worry about it. It was working for a time. Like I said, for a time, it was working. And then as time went on, I'm still noticing patterns that weren't the same as everyone else's. Some were, but patterns that really weren't the same as everyone else's. And it was really odd because I felt like the odd man out. Because why am I experiencing these things and no one else is? Yeah, you guessed it. Because nothing changes until you learn the lesson. Then, fast forward, married, kids, it's 2016. And I'm having all of these situations, all these issues. I'm just having some problems with things going on in my family, things going on with me, things that are just not coming together. I had become more of myself, like times 10 of myself. And when you become more of yourself, but that particular person kind of wasn't really checked and you just continue going on that way, at some point you're going to hit a wall. And that's what happened with me. I just kind of hit a wall. And I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, I have got to go to therapy. I got to do something. I got to go to therapy. I got to fix this because it's not working. It's not working. Things are getting worse. So she was in the medical field. So she recommended someone and she said, I've only heard good things about him. And I think you like him. Give him a try. That was in 2016. We've been rocking 5 years. Now it's 2021 at this point. And there were so many things that had to be worked on. So many things that needed to be fixed that I had no idea of. So let's go back to 2016 again. When I first started and I come to him with all of these things, anger control issues. I got blinders on, thick-headed. You couldn't tell me anything. If I believed it to be true, it was true, period. And you can give me your opinion, but I wasn't going to believe it unless it aligned with me. And that's just how it was. So, yeah, it's as you probably guessed, yeah. Nothing changes until you learn the lesson. Yeah, and I wasn't learning any of the lessons. I was literally just going through the motions, going about life. And I worked in an industry where, those kinds of behaviors, yeah, they were accepted. I mean, I was driving a truck. I was a truck driver then. Who was going to say something? Who would say something to me about my attitude if I'm driving a truck and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do? And, as long as I'm handling my responsibilities and the responsibility was to get the truck out, get things delivered and bring it back. I did that. So, how far was a check going to go on how I talked to someone or how I responded about something? It just, certain lines of word, you just kind of get a pass depending on the industry you're in. And that industry probably wasn't the best for learning the lessons that I needed to learn. Neither here nor there. The stages that I had to go through to work through those things were stages that really and truly created like a block. Like there was a block that I had built up because of all of these things that I just kind of couldn't seem to pull together. So I'm not being receptive. I'm not really mature enough to handle what's being told to me because I'm not taking that. There are things that are being said to me that I just refuse to accept and refuse to take. Now, this is during the time of therapy, and I'm refusing to do the work because I don't believe it. Because again, whatever I say is what's true. So I'm not believing the things that are being told to me. So the therapy is not effective. It's doing me no good. Nothing was changing because I wasn't learning the lesson. I'm in therapy. I'm showing up. I'm talking. But nothing was changing. I wasn't doing the active work. That's why. That's why the lessons were not being learned, because I wasn't really actively doing everything that I could to fix. And I realized that. It took a little while, but I realized that. And there were some times where I was just so shocked at what I was learning, I couldn't even drive myself home. BJ would have to drive me home. I couldn't even do it because I was so shocked. And I was drained. It was a hard lift. It was a heavy lift, rather. It was hard work and a heavy lift. But eventually, I started to strengthen and make myself aware that this is just something that had to be done. And over time, those blocks that I had built up started to peel away, started to come away, and it started to kind of expose some things that I didn't know. good things, right? So after I start working and after I really start getting into this thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm starting to see some things. And if I can see it, I can learn it. And if I can do it, I can understand it. And that's what ended up happening. Like these things that I'm learning in therapy, they're teaching me to see some things, teaching me to do some things. And before I know it, I'm starting to apply some things. And once I apply things, it becomes part of my life. Then I learn the lesson. And that's the whole point of it, learning the lesson. I think the most important thing to me about learning the lesson, the significant lesson that I had to learn was a lesson about temperament, a lesson about strength, and a lesson about love. Because when I start thinking about or reflecting on 2016 and all those years leading up to 2021, September 18th, 2021, that temperament, that strength, that love, that was being tested. If I was still operating the same way I was back in 2016, September 18th, 2021, things would not have worked out the way they worked out. I would not be on this podcast. There is no way. Because in 2016, I didn't have the self-control. I didn't have the temperament. And to be quite honest, I didn't have the strength. I won't say I didn't have the love, but I don't think that I would have understood how to display it. I think it would have been just a mass of confused emotions and feelings. I think that it would have, I know that it would have come out in a different way. And it would have been misunderstood. And people would have been turned off by things. And people would have had to stand back and just allow me to do what it is that I do. My family would not have been able to hold each other together the way we were able to. Brian wouldn't be able to hold me together. Our daughter wouldn't be able to hold us together. I don't believe we would have been able to move as a unit like we are, like we do now. And I'm grateful for that because those lessons that were learned, before they were a lesson, they were an opportunity. And an opportunity for me to learn something. And I'm grateful for that opportunity because it got me to that point. That point of learning the lesson. And then beyond learning the lesson came something else. It came the understanding that right or wrong doesn't even matter in the lesson that you're learning. The only thing that matters is truth. That is the only thing that matters. Again, September 18th, 2021, that's when my son was killed. Had I been more concerned about right or wrong, I would have never been able to look at his baby shoes and smile. I would never have been able to look at his little onesie that I keep in my office. These are things that are in my office that I keep in the frontal. It's right here. Every time I turn around it, I can see his baby shoes and his onesie, his favorite glass. I can see that from every angle in my office. And I keep it there for that reason. And I'm able to smile about it because I'm not focused on the right or wrong. I'm focused on truth. And the truth is that I'm still here. The truth is that I'm covered and abundant. That is the truth. And that's what I focus on. Focusing on right and wrong never gets you to the lesson, to learning the lesson. But a focus on truth will. Think about the young man that was with my son when he passed away. Think about what it would be like if he focused on right and wrong instead of focusing on the truth. Because the truth for Barry is that he has to keep going. The truth for Barry is, yes, that he actually did witness my son pass. But could you imagine what it would be like for your closest friend to pass in your arms? For you to feel helpless and not to be able to save him? Can you imagine what it felt like when he came back home and he wasn't with him? BJ wasn't with him. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the work that would be required to be able to smile again after experiencing that? Think about that for a minute. We tend to think about the things that we have on us, the things that are heavy. I can't imagine what he has fought through and what he has gone through. Because it's my son, yes. But I did not witness what he witnessed. I was not screaming for help while BJ lay there. I was not the last face that he saw. And I didn't hear the things that he heard. But Barry did. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him. But I will say that yesterday when we talked, he showed me that he learned, and he's learning just like I am, the lesson in truth. And that truth is that he's going to be all right. That truth is that he's covered and abundant. That is the truth. Because we were able to have a conversation. We were able to communicate and laugh and do it in a way that really made us feel good when we got off the phone. We felt good talking about BJ. We felt good talking about those experiences that we had and sharing. This is someone that brought closure to this situation for us. This is someone that was able to step in at a time where he probably felt more hurt in his heart than he did anything else. But something happened leading up to this that built him up to be that man. I don't really know what has happened in his life to have strengthened him and to have given him the temperament that he has. Because, of course, he has the same frustration as anyone else would have. But he focused on truth. And that's what's getting him through. That's what's getting all of us through. A focus on truth. And that stands true with any situation. When you focus on right and wrong, that's keeping score. That's the way that you point fingers. That's the way that you judge people. The right and wrong that has to do with my son's case, that's going to be that's going to be figured out. That's going to be taken care of. But how I handle the truth, how my husband handles the truth, how my daughter handles the truth, how Barry handles the truth, that is what gets us through. That is the lesson learned. It's how we're able to get through, how we're able to handle the truth. That's the actual lesson. And when I think about things that have gone on in my life, when I think about it's a reflection. Like all of a sudden, I always get these things that just pop up in my head. But when I think about BJ's celebration and how I spoke at his celebration, and afterwards, my supervisor from years and years ago, he was there, and he said, "You really, you, you really turned out to be a wonderful woman." I was like, "What? Damn, huh?" He said, "No, no, no, no. I didn't mean it like that, but yes, he did. Yes, he did, because I told you who I was, how I would behave, and how I would react, and I know that he was shocked to see and hear what he saw and heard. I know he was shocked. For one, I saw the expression on his face sitting out there in the audience with everyone else. But when he came to me and spoke to me, it was confirmation. It's confirmation that there were many lessons learned, and there are many lessons ahead. They're coming. Sometimes it's scary to think about, but they're coming. And as long as you're able to handle and accept the truth, as long as you're receptive enough, as long as you're mature enough to kind of take it on the chin and keep going, you'll be fine. You'll be all right. You're covered. You're covered. I already told you you're covered. You're abundant. And that's all you need. The flip side to that is when you ignore the lessons that are to be learned. When you ignore those lessons to be learned, that's when life becomes chaotic. That's when you stay on that same pattern of this always happens to me, or this never stops, or I always have to deal with this. Why? Why do you always have to deal with this? Why does this always happen? Why? I already told you. Because nothing changes until you learn the lesson. So if you're on the wheel and it just keeps turning, you're just running on the hamster wheel and nothing changes, you can't get off because you didn't learn the lesson. And it doesn't matter what scenario you're talking about. It doesn't even matter. You can be talking about relationships. You can be talking about friendships. You can be talking about at work. You can be talking about in your community, in your neighborhood, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you are still having the same setbacks that you had a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you didn't learn the lessons. And not because there wasn't an opportunity to learn the lesson. You just chose to tap out. You just chose to tap out. The lesson in truth is what will take you where you need to be, is what puts you on your path. But if you're on the run, those lessons will just keep coming back, the same ones, the same one, because nothing changes until you learn the lesson. And the lessons that you learn are valuable ones that help you to deal with those setbacks that lay ahead on your path. They're there. They are there. You can't run away from them. There's no plan to deviate from heartache. There's no plan to deviate from setbacks. It's going to happen. I don't care who you are. The difference is how you handle it. The difference is and always will be how you handle the truth. The difference is and always will be the lessons that you've learned along the way. Period, point blank. I believe that's all I wanted. This seems very short. It just seems very short, but I have pretty much covered what was necessary to be covered. It's the importance of learning the lessons and the importance of handling the truth, accepting the truth. That really is it in a nutshell. It really and truly is. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, y'all, and hope that you will come back and join me again next week. Same time, same place. And we'll discuss another topic that is detrimental. Another topic that's important in our everyday lives. And another topic that can make a difference in our lives. I look forward to seeing you or hearing from you. And don't forget that you are your own ecosystem. You encompass everything that you need to be successful and valuable within yourself. You are enough. You are enough. I will see y'all soon. Have a wonderful week. Bye. Hey, good people, I'm back. If y'all ready for the recap. All right, recap for episode number 14, Lessons Learned. I just needed to let you know that the less you learn, the less you are equipped to handle. The more you repeat your cycles. If you can't handle, the cycles are repetitive. They will be repetitive until you learn the lesson. Nothing changes until you learn the lesson, period, point blank. Lessons learned are applied in life, and they bring you to your growth, and that is a testament to your work. Stagnance is also a testament to your work, because you will not move, you will not grow. You will experience the same things over and over again. That's that cycle that I'm talking about. So the real lesson is how you handle truth. Not right or wrong, because that's how you argue. That's how you point fingers. That's how you take score. But that is not how you learn to handle truth. I want to dedicate this episode to Barry. I want to dedicate this episode to Barry Turner because my son took his last breath with you. And you brought us truth, and you're doing your work. And I'm proud of you for that. We're doing exactly what my son would have wanted. We're smiling again. And I thank you for that. I thank you for the closure that you brought us. I thank you for being available whenever I needed you, because we've been on this journey together. I have needed to speak with you, and you've always been there. You've always answered, and I appreciate that so much. I love you, and I'll always, always appreciate you. Long live 3.